Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and another morning ramble. Guys, this is my third take on this video. The other takes were 30 seconds long, and I'm going to tell you why I stopped them, why I deleted them, why I'm starting over and I'm not deleting, no matter how this goes on this third take. I have chills. It makes it a little bit, I'm nervous to say the things I want to say because I want to make sure I say them right. So I'm going to say it the only way I know how, and that is, I don't know, just to kind of ramble along, I guess. And I guess that's why we call these the morning rambles. This is, our channel is called Homesteading Off the Grid. And I originally envisioned, this was all kind of set up to kind of document my family's journey on our small homestead here. We've got 5.74 acres in Central Virginia. And we want to grow and raise our own food, or most of it at least. We want to be self-reliant. We eventually want to get the solar panel things, get off the grid, yada, yada, yada. So I originally envisioned, if anybody were to follow us and subscribe, they would be people who share this similar interest, and most of you folks do, but this has been a crazy year. We've been doing this for almost 2 years, and for the first year and a half, I think we had like 76 subscribers. But in the last 4 or 5 months alone, we've gone past 65,000 subscribers. And the common connection is not that each and every one of you who've subscribed and who follow our channel like to grow corn or raise chickens, but it's that you've been through something very difficult, very challenging, and many of you continue to go through these difficult challenges today. You're surviving, and you've come around to be with us because you like what you hear here, whether or not it has anything to do with homesteading at all. And you've been here long enough to see that I'm not very good at homesteading anyway. So I want to thank you for being here, and mostly I want to thank you for surviving the things you've taught me. And I'm going to give several shout outs here today, and these shout outs don't cost $4.99 a month, by the way. These are free shout outs. I want to start with, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, a guy in Europe named, I think, Hughes Levistry. Hughes, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. I did a morning ramble yesterday, and I talked about focusing on what's gone right, not on what's gone wrong. And I had a lot of feedback on that about, basically we're talking about the power of positive thinking and how if we can learn to implement this sort of thought process in our life, no matter what we go through, we at least have a better chance of overcoming it. Okay? Hughes comments regularly. Gotten to know him a little bit with the comments he's left over the past few months. Hughes, I believe, is or was a blacksmith. He's done very hard physical labor the majority of his life. I think he's just a little bit older than me. He said before he's got I believe a wife and a daughter. Hughes, I didn't go back and search through comments. I'm remembering what you've said in the past. And Hughes has shared with us that this hard physical manual labor he's done throughout his life has kind of wrecked his body. He lives with pain, and it's difficult. And yesterday I was talking about how we all have a wolf at our door, and what we need to do is train ourselves to look past that wolf and see the beautiful forest and the beautiful world beyond the wolf. That wolf can be financial difficulties. Maybe there's a financial obligation we're having a hard time meeting. Maybe it's health issues. Maybe it's the loss of a loved one. Maybe it's a dysfunctional, toxic relationship with a family member or a friend or a neighbor. Hughes commented, the thing about wolves is that they run in packs. And every time he believes he's gotten past one wolf, there's another. And he says he can't get past the wolf pack. And Hughes, you made me realize you have taken survival to a whole new level. Here I'm talking about the wolf at the door. Hughes is right. Wolves do run in pack. In many of our challenges and our circumstances in life, it's not just one wolf, it's many. Hughes, what you've been doing, perhaps unbeknownst to you, is you've been dancing with wolves. And that's not a cheesy quote of a movie title. You've been dancing with wolves. And sometimes our survival is completely contingent upon our ability not to defeat the wolf or even see past it so much as I was talking about yesterday, but in dancing with the wolves. Because you're right, there's the old expression, the old saying that things come in threes. Life is not about, and there's my co-host. Hey, Cleopatra. Good morning. Good morning. I think she was back there listening, and she could tell that I'd actually stayed on topic for 5 minutes, which is not my style, and so she had to get me to digress. Come on. So she came up to join me. How you doing, girl, huh? Tell everybody good morning. Yep, there's Crazy Lake's pajama pants. They didn't work with you. You saw me anyway, huh? So Hughes, buddy, like I said, I think you're at survivalist level 99 because there's you talk about these other wolves that have been there behind the main wolf you believe you're fighting and you think you've gotten past yet. There's another one. My friend, you have learned to dance with the wolves, which is, our survival is often contingent upon that ability. So, and guys, if you think the way I talk is a ramble, you should see the way I take notes. That's a ramble too. I just jotted down some stuff here. Guys, I'm amazed. I'm going to give a shout out to James Brown. Yeah, I saw that and I thought, of course, of the singer. A lot of you guys probably thought that too, but this isn't that guy. This is a subscriber named James Brown. He just left a simple comment that he agrees with our choice here on the channel to avoid or not to focus on politics and religion. That's something we do. We just have a couple bylaws we do here. We don't talk about politics or religion because we don't want to divide. We want to unite. We don't care about our differences. We like to focus on our similarities, our commonalities, and we don't, there's just that, and then we don't e-beg. We don't do Patreon. We're not charging the monthly membership fees and all that stuff. We're a little unique in the way we do things here. And James Brown said that he thinks this is a good choice. And I agree with James Brown because what this has done is this has allowed us to form an amazing community of all survivors. We've got Hughes over in Europe who suffers physical pain from long, prolonged manual labor. Shout out to Linda Yerman, who has been hit, both her and her daughter, with cancer, but who are surviving their ordeal. They're going on with life to the best of their ability despite their affliction. I want to give a big shout out to Alice the Gma. Come on, girl. Come on. Oh gosh, we got more company. Check this out. What's up, girls? You guys coming up to see us too? You see them? Somebody asked me in a comment yesterday, how far do my chickens go? Because as you can tell, they live way down here in the pen behind the house. Here comes 4 of the 12. They go far. Come on, girl, get up here. What is going on here? Well, anyway, I came up here yesterday and I thought I had a flock of turkeys back here in the woods because I heard some scratching and scratching. So I snuck into the woods, taking my time, looking, and then there about 50 yards into the woods, there's 4 of my chickens, a squirrel in the middle, and a deer behind them. So I didn't have a flock of turkeys. I had a flock of my own chickens with a squirrel and a deer. And they all saw me at the same time. The chickens, the squirrel, and the deer, they all just look at me like, what do you want? And I was like, nothing. Just keep eating. I'm just going to sit over here in the field and talk to myself for a while. And so they all just put their heads back down and went back to eating. Much like they're doing there now. Oh, so anyway, okay. Alice the Gma, sorry to keep you in anticipation. A lot of times people comment on these videos and they say, I love the way you keep it positive. I keep things positive too. You get much further in life with your positive thinking. Like Roberta McConnell said this yesterday. She was agreeing with, she was saying, gosh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. So many shout outs, so little time. Unless if I make this a 20-minute video, which I hope not to, but I always hope not to. It just happens that way sometimes. But so I read these comments, and sometimes I think, who are these people? Are these people the types who just kind of sit around and read these self-help books? I read those 20 years ago when I got into business because our rah-rah cheerleader types in the sales industry told us to read these books. So I did. So I was like, who are these the people that read those books? And I often wonder, what have these people been through? How are they relating to me? You know, we've got Hughes with the physical labor. He's wrecked his body. We've got Linda with cancer. And guys, I've never had cancer. If you've been following the channel, you know I'm a veteran. I was in Iraq, and then I spent 6 years in the Philippines, down and out on the islands. Addiction is part of my story. Loss of, estrangement from some of the most important people in my life. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, not in any great detail. But, it's all part of this Dances with Wolves thing. Alice the Gmaw is always positive. She's always saying she loves our positivity of the channel. And so I kind of asked her yesterday in the comment section, do you mind me asking, because she was talking about living with pain, being in pain if she stands or if she sits up. She spends a lot of time in bed. And this was really the first time she has alluded to her affliction. And this is when I realized, no, this is not somebody who's sitting around reading self-help books. This is somebody who's been through something. What is it that this woman has been through? So I asked her, and she shared with me that her and her daughter were in a car, and a woman in a very large car, as she put it, I'm assuming maybe an SUV, ran a stop sign going 60 miles an hour and just slammed right into the side of their vehicle. It was her daughter's graduation car. Her daughter had many bones broken. Alice the Gmaw was airlifted to a trauma unit. It was a major, terrible, nasty car crash. And Alice the Gmaw said in her comment that it was a power greater than any on this earth that kept their car from flipping onto its top into a ditch. So she was airlifted to a trauma unit. She survived, but to this day, she lives with chronic pain, the type that hurts even to just sit up. And yet Alice the Gmaw is on here every day confirming any positive thoughts we have or that we share or statements that we make. And you know, she talked a little bit, and I guess Alice the Gmaw has a YouTube channel. I didn't realize that till she mentioned that she, at the end of her videos, she always ends her videos by saying, and I think this is advice we can all take. I'm going to take it. I don't always do this. I'm terrible at doing this because I'm a little bit antisocial. But she always says, be kind to others. It doesn't take any more breath to be kind than it does to be hateful. So this woman, Alice the Gmaw, is such an inspiration to me in so many ways. Not only is she on a daily basis dancing with the wolves of pain, the wolves of being uncomfortable just by simply sitting up. She continues to survive through her strong ability, Hughes, of dancing with the wolves. This wolf obviously is not one she can get past and go on and enjoy the forest and enjoy the rest of the world behind the wolf. This is a wolf pack of pain. And she's not only dancing with it, but she's making sure to go out of her way to be kind to others that she comes in contact with. How amazing is that? I mean, here's a woman who could just become bitter because she has an affliction, and she could just lash out and be hateful at people. But she's not. She's not even doing it on the internet. She's not even a troll. She could lay there in pain, see me and my beautiful bride and our beautiful son, and see how healthy and how happy we are. And this beautiful little homestead we have here, and the wonderful hikes we go on, like the one we went to on yesterday at Observatory Hill at the University of Virginia. And she could lash out and say, I hate you. How dare you be young and healthy, and how dare your wife be beautiful? But she doesn't. She says, thanks for taking me along with you, or to the effect. This is the type of person she is. She's the type of person that will say, thanks for taking me along on that hike with you. I can't do that myself, but I enjoy going with you guys. I love that you're healthy and you're happy. She uses her breath to say kind things to other people instead of be hateful. She is a role model to each and every one of us. Go on there in the comment section of this video and give her a shout out, okay? I've mentioned Cat Hill before. I'm going to mention her again here because she mentioned in a comment from the video yesterday that she's learned to be quicker in coming to acceptance with our difficulties. Start that dance with the wolves sooner instead of snivel and cry and whine, because she's found that two things come from our challenges. number one, our challenges, our difficulties are often a gift that give us something better. And this goes back to that old expression, every time one door closes, another one's open. Yes, waiting in the hallway sucks, but I guess what Kat's getting at here is the sooner we accept our circumstances and get on with it, kind of the less time we're spending in that hallway. And then number two, she says that these circumstances offer us a learning experience that teaches us a life lesson. And this is where Roberta McConnell also chimed in and said pretty much the same thing. And she shared with us about how, shout out to Roberta McConnell here. Now, she is doing some homesteading. She planted some potatoes that kind of didn't come up and sprout and bloom and all that stuff when she wanted them to. She had 3 potatoes in late August that just started to sprout. And she decided that instead of just composting them up or trashing them, she'd just put them in pots and see what happened. And now she's got 10 pounds of potatoes that she can harvest and eat from those 3 potatoes. So this is just an example of turning a failure into a success. It's all about how you view it, how you look at it. And Hughes, again, big shout out to you, because you made me look at those wolves differently. You're dancing with them, buddy. And that is an amazing level of survival. So, my gosh, I wrote down so many notes, and then I start rambling, and I forget what I came up here to talk about in the first place, but I guess I'm talking about it. Here we go. I have a hard time reading my own writing, so just when I start to sound profound and like I know what I'm talking about, I get tripped up on my scribbling. But I want to give a shout out to Lisa JW. We've had a lot of new subscribers come to the channel recently because of that, why I quit my job at the post office video. A lot of people could relate to that, and a lot of people, so many people, and I'm so thankful for these people who have come on here and who can really relate to how spending time with your family and doing the things you love is more important than a $4 or $5 an hour differential in pay. We've had so many people who have come to the channel who have shared with us that they have accepted lower paying jobs or do things for themselves, work for themselves from home. They don't have the stability that they had when they had the job they hated that made them miserable, but they're no longer miserable, and they're with the people they love doing the things they love. And that's what I'm doing here. And so I'm thankful for these people. And Lisa JW is one of them. She shared in the comments yesterday that somebody was asking her about her job situation. Lisa has kind of pieced together 3 part-time jobs to currently make a living. And when she was asked about her job situation, she sat back, she thought about how to respond, and she kind of had tears running down her face as she did, because she said, if we have a home and a place to sleep at night, and we have food to eat today and a little bit of money, we're among the richest people of the world. And Lisa, you don't know how much your comment touched me. And I'm gonna share a little bit more about myself here in my past, this is what Lisa's comment reminded me of. There was a time when I was in the Philippines with Dearly and Daniel, and no, Cleopatra, you were not there. You want to come up? How come every time I really get on a roll, she's got to be the center of attention? She has got to be the center of attention. Okay, back to it. Guys, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy, okay? And I realized I was wealthy at one of the poorest points in my life when I had nothing. I'm wealthy right now, huh? Because I have you. Listen, rich people are the ones who have the most stuff. People who are wealthy are the people who have the fewest needs. And it sounds to me like Lisa JW is wealthy, okay? She's talking about her needs are met. She's got a house, she's got a place to sleep, she's got food, and she's got a little bit of money, and she considers herself among the richest people in the world. Huh, Kitty? Lisa's right. Once upon a time, when I was in the Philippines, it was me, it was Dearly, it was Daniel, and that was it. And Daniel, he was maybe a year and a half old. We were living out in the province, as they call it. Out here in the U.S., we'd call it out in the country. And we had nothing. We had no money. None. Zero. We had Guys, my rent in US dollars was $75 a month, and I was behind. I had a wonderful landlady, a beautiful Filipina lady who was 90 years old. She was a retired superintendent of schools in one of the districts down there in Mindanao, the southernmost major island of the Philippines. And she was a blessing in our lives. I went to her and I pleaded with her, and she smiled. She heard me out. And one of the biggest challenges I faced the whole time I lived there was the fact that I'm an American, and a lot of people in a lot of places outside of America assume that if you're an American, you're rich. You have this unlimited supply of money. Your government just gives it to you. There's no such thing as an American who's not poor. Well, I was proof that that's not true. However, a lot of people didn't want to accept that that was the case. But I had a wonderful landlady who was educated, who had 3 siblings, I think, living in the United States. She knew that that wasn't the case. And so when I went to her to grovel and beg and plead not to throw us out into the jungle because we just had no money and I couldn't pay rent, she smiled, and she was very helpful. She didn't throw us out. She allowed us to stay, and she helped me get help I needed. But during those times, during those struggles, we always had food. Sometimes that food was rice that we borrowed at interest, at amazingly high interest. Oftentimes because of my nationality. I mean, I'm just going to be, these are the types of things that I run a risk of saying on social media, but that is the truth of my past and where I was. I was charged a premium at times. And man, I'll tell you, it was a difficult time. And during those times, I was cut off from some of the people that I love most in my life, some of the people that mean the most to me, who always have and who always will, even though they are not in my life today. I have not given up hope that the day might come that these people of whom I'm talking will be in my life again. How do I get through each day? I dance with the wolves. When I was in that jungle, when we, like Lisa said in her comment, we had a place to sleep, we had food. A lot of that food was the food we could salvage from the jungle. It grew. We were eating the gabi roots. We were eating the fruit and the vegetables that grew native in the jungles. You see, yesterday Dearly cooked chicken liver soup. That was her own invention. Guys, she's not sitting around inventing recipes because she has the luxury of being in the U.S. now and having access to all this food in the grocery store, which she does, and just out of curiosity, she decides, let's try this invention. She learned how to create her own recipes because, guys, we were living off of grass and rice, or grass's first cousin, weeds and rice, and she learned to be inventive and creative so that our meals would taste just a little bit different every time we had a meal, because we were eating the same thing, grass and rice, for months and months and months. But we were eating, and we had each other. Even though I didn't have 3 very important people to me, I had 2. I had Dearly and I had Daniel. And I realized during those times when I was down and out in the jungle that I had food, I had people who did love me and who I loved. We had a place to sleep. Our needs were met. We were, even then, among the wealthiest people in the world. It's not about having the most stuff, it's about having the fewest wants. And if your needs are met, what more can we want for? Especially if we've been through these tough times where we've known what it's like to not have our needs met. Alice the Gmaw knows what it's like to not live without pain. Lisa knows what it's like to have to work 3 part-time jobs to make ends meet, but she also knows the beauty and the benefit and the gift of having a place to sleep at night and having food and having a little bit of money left over. Linda Yerman knows not only what it's like to have cancer, but what it's like to have a daughter that has cancer. And I gave a shout out to Kat Hill earlier and the advice she always gives. I just learned this when she was giving advice in a comment yesterday. She survived West Nile virus. I mean, I can relate. I had dengue virus during the time that we were in the Philippines and we had no food, and I was begging my landlady not to throw us out. I got bitten by a mosquito and got dengue fever and was in the hospital and nearly died. And even then, somebody said in the comments here that the people, it was Cat Hill, when she was being treated for her West Nile virus, that often these people that come in and take care of us when we can't take care of ourselves are angels in disguise. I went to the hospital fearing I would die, not because I couldn't get the treatment. They have the treatment, but I didn't have the money to get the treatment. And it's not, in the U.S., you walk into a hospital, you say, hey, I have West Nile virus, treat me. They say, do you have insurance? You say, no. They say, how do you going to pay? They say, well, I don't have money, I can't pay, treat me anyway. They treat you. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. If you go to a hospital in the United States and you are dying, they will treat you. If not, your survivors will sue the pants off that hospital and they will own that hospital. And you people know this. In the Philippines, not the case. You walk in and you say, I think I have dengue fever. Will you please treat me? They'll say, okay, this costs 15,000 pesos. Pay us. And if you say, I don't have any money, they say, well, go die in the street because we're not letting you die in the waiting room. And if you die in the waiting room, because they will not treat you if you don't have the money, they will charge your heirs or your family or your survivors for whatever the cost is to remove your dead body from the waiting room. Guys, that's the harsh reality of the rest of the world, what I call the real world. There are no safety nets. I was there. I walked into the hospital with dengue fever. You know what? I crawled into the hospital with dengue fever. They assumed, hey, Kitty, can you give me just a second? Maybe she's here because I'm getting riled up. We know they have instincts. I think that's why she's here with me today. I'm talking about some things that are a little bit touchy. So I go into the hospital, and, you know, I mentioned about how where I was, a lot of folks assumed that I was rich because of my nationality. That assumption played in my favor at that time because that got me into a room, and that got me hooked up to the fluids and the IVs and the stuff I needed to save my life. But there I was laying in the bed knowing the minute they realize I'm broke and I have no money, they're going to throw me out on the streets and I'm going to die. An angel walked into my into my room. That angel was a Filipina doctor, a woman probably in her mid-30s who fortunately got her training in the United States and who visits the United States on a regular basis. She comes in, I could tell she's speaking perfect English. I said, Doc, I have a confession. She says, what? I said, I don't have the money to pay you. And she smiled and she said, when will you have the ability to pay me? And I said, well, what? I told her my situation. I said, it might be sometime into the future. I said, please don't let me die. And she smiled and she laughed. She said, I'm going to take care of you. I'm not going to let you die. And we ended up talking for a long time. She spent more than an hour with me, even though she was just coming in to do like an initial diagnosis. I found out that's when I found out she received her medical training in the United States. And I asked her, I said, I can't thank you enough. I know you're going to treat me. I know you're waiting on payment. Why are you doing this? Why are you being so kind to me? And she says, you know what? It's my job as a doctor. She said, this is why I practice medicine in the Philippines. I got my medical training in the United States because that's where the best training in the world, bar none, is to be had. She said, but I practice medicine in the Philippines because I wanted to be a doctor so I could help people like you. I want to help the sick. I can't do that in the U.S. because 1/3 of my income will go to malpractice insurance premiums that I really can't afford to pay, and I am told how I can treat people there, whereas here in the Philippines, like you come to me, you need my help, I can give it to you. I'm going to tell the hospital administrators that I'm dealing with the payment. You'll make it to me, not the hospital. She saved my life. As Cat Hill said, she was an angel in my time of need. She showed up and she saved my life. I can't help but think that on that particular day, I mean, she circulates. She goes to a different hospital every day. There's a reason she was at that hospital that day, and there's a reason I crawled into that hospital that day. Hughes, everybody else listening, and this has been an extremely long ramble. I hope it even uploads. It's probably going to take it 3 days to upload. It's not going to be a morning ramble. It's probably going to be a midnight ramble. But guys, our contingency to survive is often dictated by our ability to dance with the wolves. And sometimes, like Hugh said, and like Linda Yerman and her daughter know, and with the cancer, and like Alisa Gma knows with her pain, and like I know, and like others of you who have shared with me your estrangement from some of the people that are most important to you and that you love the most. Sometimes these things never do go away. Our survival is contingent upon our ability to continue to dance with those wolves. I want to thank each and every single one of you who are here with me and who have made it to the end of this extremely long ramble for being here with me. Thanks for being with us here at Homesteading Off the Grid, and we'll see you for more next time.